When we talk about starting pitching, though, another guy that the Diamondbacks are potentially going to target is Chicago Cubs right-handed pitcher Marcus Stroman. We've talked about Stroman being an elite pitcher in baseball, and his stats absolutely back that up. This man could have easily been the starting pitcher in the All-Star game had he, participated.
Damon and I have been asking for Marcus Stroman for 2 months now. There was a specific moment where it came up for the first time. I mean, I love Marcus Stroman. He is the kind of cool that I want on this team that I think the team is lacking. The kind of guy who is going to make headlines with stuff he says in the media, and he's not going to ever really hold back, which I love. I absolutely love. And then, he also happens to be one of the best pitchers in the National League. I would love to have Marcus Stroman in an Arizona Diamondbacks uniform.
Do you think, not to put this out there as something that would prevent this from happening, but do you think that attitude, that kind of outgoing, like you said, not holding back kind of personality would be a good fit for this team that doesn't really seem to ever have that? I don't know if
that's fair.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's a Torey Lovullo thing, if that's kind of his philosophy, and then people kind of fall in line with it or what. But the Diamondbacks don't typically have a lot of shit talkers. They don't have a lot of people that are openly saying I mean, God damn it. Christian Walker called himself a looker and just said he was looking at during that Mets series, and that got the Mets fans all riled up just about that. It was one of the most innocent comments about that whole situation.
It was an adorable comment.
It really
he said
was.
He's a looker.
But he said it with that mustache. I didn't like that mustache. I'm telling you, that mustache rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But Marcus Stroman, though, just an incredible talent when you talk about his pitching stats.
Yeah.
Damon, can we put those stats back up there? Because, again, you look at this stuff, and this guy has just been doing it for the Cubs all season long. One of the big reasons why the Cubs are still in the mix, which I believe they did say if they would take any offers on Marcus Stroman, they would happen at 11:59 p.m. on July 31st.
You're not trading for him tomorrow. That's for sure. We are big FIP fans here on the podcast.
Huge
you see Marcus Stroman has a 3.39 FIP this year compared to a 2.88 ERA. And that's kind of been a thing for him for a few years, where he just kind of outperforms his peripherals year after year after year. I don't know if it's this it factor that we've been talking about, where he pitches with a lot of swag, and he's kind of a gamer out there. Yeah. And I think he has in a sense, he has an intimidating presence on the mound, even though he's 5'7".
His whip's really good though.
Yeah, his whip is 109. Yeah, it's not like his peripherals are bad or anything. But a 2.88 ERA is legit. I mean, he really, if the season ended today, he would be in the Cy Young conversation, absolutely. So, I don't know if the D-backs can realistically pull this off. We look at the pros and cons here. Marcus Stroman is a legit number 2 starter. If he's you could kind of slot it in however you want, whether he would start a game 2 in a playoff series or a game 3 behind Merrill Kelly. He has playoff experience. He's thrown about 30 innings in the postseason in his career, and he might be the best starting pitcher available. I don't know if there's any starting pitcher outside of maybe Shohei Ohtani, who's sort of in a category of his own. I don't know if there's any other guy who's going to get as much interest as he will. Flipping over to the con side, there's going to be a cost here. I believe he's making $25 million this year. For the last 2 months, you're looking at maybe around $8 million or so, which I think the D-backs could maybe absorb. Ken Kendrick said before the season started that they would be willing to invest more around this time of year if the team was in position to do so, which they are. But I don't know if that necessarily means they're going to take on a contract of this magnitude. And of course, he's going to cost a lot. Prospect wise, he's going to cost a lot. And he's just a rental. You're just getting him through the end of this season. He has a player option for next year, which he is pretty much undoubtedly going to decline with the quality of season he's had.
I mean, and that's going to be a con for a lot of guys that the Diamondbacks are going to pursue, because
it's a lot of rentals we're talking about.
There's a lot of rentals, and the Diamondbacks aren't really, I think, of the mindset that they want to give up a lot for this season, right? I've said it before, I'll say it again. This season, they just are unexpectedly good, and it, as great as that is for us, for fans, it does put Mike Hazen in an awkward position that he wasn't really expecting to be in. of now making these decisions about how far does he go? How much of the farm system does he sell to improve this team at this point? What kind of player do they pursue? Do they pursue a guy that's under team control for a couple of years, but maybe isn't as good? There's a lot of really great pitchers that are available, but most of them that are available are in this situation where they are rental, and there's no telling if, what you sacrifice for them is going to return, is going to cause them to stay with the team or even return, the worth for the rest of the season, right? Like, if the Diamondbacks were to make a big trade and then go on to miss the playoffs, that would be like the biggest disaster that you could potentially think of, right? Yeah. Like where they do sacrifice part of their future for this season and then don't even have a chance at the postseason, right? Groundhog Mama asks, what is FIP? Jesse?
Oh.
Jesse, man. Can I do it the way that I understand it?
Sure. Yeah.
Because that might help you more than Jesse's explanation. Jesse does a great job of explaining stuff, but
hey man, I was a teacher as of a year ago, right, Derek?
Right. No, you're right. So it's what is ERA would look like if the pitching was or if the defense behind him was absolutely
what your ERA would look like if pitching didn't matter.
The pitching didn't matter. If defense didn't matter behind you. If it was a league average defense behind you. So it's kind of like it's like a lot of these stats where it tries to take out what has been done behind you in ways and just focus on your pitching. It's fielding independent pitching. So with no fielding involved, or at least the actual fielding that has occurred. Because we've talked about that with certain guys on the Diamondbacks where they just had some amazing defense behind them and guys were making plays. So as good as their ERA was and as good as things looked for them, their pitching wasn't really at times the cause behind it as much as it was the great defense behind them.
Yeah, it's basically just focusing on the stuff that a pitcher himself can control. So it's built on strikeout rate, walk rate, and then home run rate.
Yeah.
Obviously, home runs, they're in play, but they go over the fence. So you're not really giving
much about that.
Yeah, your fielders aren't really factoring into that. And then walks and strikeouts, obviously not 100%, but for the most part are dependent on the pitcher. They're kind of the sole responsibility of the pitcher.
Gotta hate this stat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it is a really good.
You're still stuck on Yadier Molina, aren't you?
Pitcher walks in the clubhouse, be like, "Y'all see my FIP recently?" And be like, "The catcher, you don't even. I'm the one calling the pitches."
By the way, Connor Mormon, his xFIP 3.71. Just in case you were wondering, I know you asked that in the chat, but. Of course, everything Jesse said is all true about Marcus Stroman with the pros and the cons. I think the thing here is that he is the best starting pitcher available. If you take Shohei Ohtani, obviously, out of the equation, I don't even know if you can call Shohei Ohtani
I would say he's the
best starting pitcher. He is the best starting pitcher as far as his pitching performance go. He is arguably a better pitcher than Ohtani, but obviously he doesn't bring everything that Ohtani brings to the team. I do think though that Marcus Stroman would be just the cream of the crop as far as targets for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I mean, you talk about making this team a legitimate World Series contender, having Zach Gallen, Marcus Stroman, and Merrill Kelly as your 1, 2, 3.
It'd be pretty
I think
fun.
there are
pretty formidable.
Few teams in Major League Baseball that have a more formidable 1 through 3 than Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Marcus Stroman.
Man, good stuff.
We'd have a heck of an emergency podcast.
Oh boy, I am getting that jersey so fast. I'm gonna put braids in my hair just so I can start rocking the do-rag again. Like I'm gonna be all in on Marcus Stroman.
We'll post the picture of him as a villain again very soon so you can see that.